Hello, once again, everybody, and welcome back to the Rise Uprooted Global Wellness Symposium. This is a 5-day global conversation with artists, speakers, coaches, trainers, physicians, and other visionaries who have learned to recognize and embrace the wisdom and wonder of the natural world in their lives and in their work. During these 5 days together, we invite you to allow this information to reawaken your own true nature, to find healing, hope, wisdom, and inspiration in the natural world. And then to take what you're learning during these 5 days and apply it to your life to improve your own well-being and that of the planet. I am your host, Alex Strauss, and today I am delighted to present my friend, longtime friend, actually, artist Barbara Brown. Barbara is a Canadian artist and author and film producer living in the wild and remote mountains of Southeast British Columbia, where she paints and writes about the forest where she lives. Barbara has had a daily practice of walking in the forest for more than 2 decades now. Her passion lies in sharing the love she feels for the forest, the beauty and the wonder she finds there. Her mission is to foster a feeling of reverence for nature in those who experience her work. Her intimacy with the woods is reflected in her paintings, and her writings take you deeply into her experiences in the forest and into the nature of being human. And you'll get to see some of those beautiful works in just a few minutes. Barbara's beautiful book and companion film, Sylvan Reflections, Wanderings, Paintings, and Ponderings from the Forest, sells internationally from her Etsy shop. High archival quality prints of her paintings are also available at Fine Art America. And she is proud to be a member and artist partner with treesisters.org, a global movement for healing our relationship with nature by planting trees to reforest tropical rainforests. And Tree Sisters also has a mission to empower women to take on nature-based leadership roles around the globe. And Barbara donates 5% of all of her revenues to Tree Sisters. That's how important this organization is in her life. And Barbara, I am just delighted to have you here. She's going to talk about, allow us all to experience some of the beauty and the wonder of that lovely Canadian forest where you live. Welcome, Barbara.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Alex. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm honored that you would ask me. What a wonderful lineup you've put together, and I'm really looking forward to hear everybody else.
Yes, we've got some fabulous speakers, so thank you for being among them. As I looked at you when you first signed on, I thought I was looking at you in front of a window. I got the impression that you were sitting in front of a big window, and now I see that these are your paintings. Yeah, we're going to get to see some of them, and this is some of your new work, right?
That's right. These are the new ones that are going in the next upcoming book.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to show you those in even more detail in just a few minutes. But first, you have such an interesting story. Tell us how you came to be painting and writing about the forest.
It's hard to know where to start and stop with telling that story. I've always loved nature. The first time I went camping was when I was 6 months old. It's my dad that he was so comfortable in the wild, and he took us into the wild a lot, and got us kids comfortable with it. And then as I grew older, my dad and I went on quite a few wilderness expeditions, canoeing in the north, and just fostering in me a comfortableness with nature and a love of it. So it's 33 years ago now that my husband and I moved here and built the cabin and a studio and a shop in the forest. It's quite wild, it's quite remote. We're in the interior temperate rainforest in British Columbia in the mountains. So we live with bears and cougars and wolves and on, bobcats and elk. It's wonderful living here.
Have you always been an artist, Barbara? Did you go to art school, or is this a second career for you?
I, as a young person, I was an artist, but I went to school. I got my university degree in geography. It was always a toss-up for me in my younger decades about making a living or being an artist. And so I went to university in geography, but then found that that wasn't for me. That was working for the government, and it just didn't quite work. So so I went back to school and I went back to art school, yeah. And I got a diploma in fine art from a wonderful little college on Vancouver Island. And decided I could have a career as a commercial artist. So tried that, did quite a few design type of things, and but settled when we moved here then 33 years ago. Trying to find a way to make a living here was difficult, but I put together, what I say is I put together my geography and my art, and I produced maps. The place where I live, it's a mecca for outdoor enthusiasts, backcountry skiers and mountain bikers, and so we have quite a tourism sector in the backcountry, and we needed a good map. So I ended up making tourist maps, and that's what kept body and soul together for 20 years. And it was, you put together geography and art and you get a good looking map. But after a while that I realized that it wasn't fulfilling my creative inclinations anymore. But it was so scary to jump off that cliff, and I started walking every day in the forest. It's 23 years ago now. And it was at the impetus of a psychologist that I went to. I was suffering from depression, just a low grade, but kind of chronic depression. And I went to a psychologist at one point, and one of the first and best things that she said to me was, well, do you want to be depressed or do you want to go for a walk every day?
Wow. Wow. That is powerful. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah.
So I started walking.
You chose the walk over the
I chose the walk. Yeah, I had been telling myself for years that I should be walking every day, but that was the impetus that I needed. Well, right away, it became the best loved part of my day. It just, as you know, of course, yeah. Alex, it just gives us so much, right? It gave me some exercise, but it gave me the time in nature, the emanations from all these trees, all those healing phytoncides, everything. It gave me solitude. It gave me silence. It was just every day I could reset my overworked brain and, just refreshed, regenerated, reset. It's not that I don't still get down now and then, but I've got a place where I can go and a time that I can take, that I do take every day to just to get reset and to find myself again and connect in. And it's hard to find the words, isn't it? But
yeah. So how did this translate into your deciding to paint what you're seeing? And we're going to see that little film in just a second here. We're going to actually show you where Barbara walks. It's gorgeous.
Yes. You'll get to see little snippets of my forest in that film, the little trailer. Well, the time came where I knew that I just had to paint. Things kind of all came together at once for me in my early to mid 50s. my mother died, and then we had a year of people dying. 7 people died in that year, my mother being the first. And then at the end of that year, I myself got lung cancer. So I had to face my own mortality. And that was a spiritual awakening for me. And the forest, my walks in the forest, the forest just helped me so much. It was a constant, or in my face teaching of how precious life is and how precious nature is. And we are nature. I am nature. And the connectedness, the whole teaching of the lilies in the field, stop and smell the roses, right? That just came home to me so strongly. And with the forest teaching me every day about it. It was also a major lesson in surrender, accepting what is and surrendering, learning to surrender, a spiritual teaching of surrender. The trees are our perfect teachers for surrender, right? Your symposium is called Rise Up Rooted. That's exactly what the trees do. They dig deep and they rise up. They're the vertical connectors between earth and heaven, as we are. We are also these vertical beings that join the trees on this planet with them. And the more we can root and the more we can reach, root for the depths and reach for the stars. But the trees teach us, they are rooted, they stand still, and yet can live for 1,000 years, taking in what's below and taking in what's above. And, they are such perfect teachers for surrendering, to take what's given to you and emanate it back out.
I want to show people this little film because I think they will really get a sense for why you are so passionate and why you've chosen to paint what you paint. I share it. So I'm going to go ahead.
I walk in the forest every day, and I have been for 17 years every day. And it's really become who I am. It's become a defining characteristics of who I am. It's a lovely practice. It gives me so much. It gives me solitude and silence and time in nature, exercise. And when I freed myself up to begin painting again, I didn't even know what I was going to paint. So I was giving myself the permission to dig deep, delve deep down and find out what wanted to come forth. So I asked myself at one point, well, what do you love the most? And it was walking in the forest. So it was an obvious choice. I'll start painting the forest.
She stepped away from me, and she moved through the fair, and fondly I watched her go here and go there, and she went her way way homeward with one star away, as the swan in the evening moved over the lake.
Oh my goodness. Well, I that's a beautiful film, and it's a trailer for the book, right? For
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was struck by when they showed the close up of your palette there, all the different shades of green.
Yes.
Like, you must have so many tubes of green paint, every kind of green, and all the greens that you mix. That's so neat. So
Yeah.
and you're so prolific. You have many paintings. You've got a new project. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But you never seem to run out of, even though what you paint is trees, you don't seem to run out of subject matter.
No.
Painting is different, the colors are different, the themes are different. It's really so interesting. So tell us a little bit more about your creative process.
Well, it started with when I knew that I had to sell my business and I had to paint. And that feeling of jumping off a cliff, and I had to, before I even knew what I wanted to paint, I had to first sell the business and give myself time, free up the time. So it really was jumping off a cliff and having to learn how to fly. When I did free myself up, I didn't know what I was going to paint. So I asked myself, what do you love the most? And of course, the answer was walking in the forest. So that became a no-brainer. And then I did this one painting of this one tree. It was there in the film. An oil painting. I hadn't done an oil painting in 30 years. But I dug out my old oils and I did this painting of this one tree who had been speaking to me for 10 years, but I hadn't really been listening. And as soon as I painted that, it's a grand fir in oil, I thought, oh my God, okay, I've found it. I can spend the rest of my life painting the forest.
Wow. And do you paint from life, Barbara, or do you take photographs and come back to your studio? How does that process work?
I take photographs. Yeah, I take photographs. I take hundreds of photographs. And
thank heavens for digital photography, right?
I know it's crazy how many photographs. But then I bring them back to my studio and I set them all up around me, and they remind me of what it was that I saw and wanted to paint. Mm-hmm. The photographs, they just remind me. They're resources to use. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do. So my creative process, a very important part of my daily walk is sitting in silence. I stop every day and sit in stillness, in silence. And that's where I draw even deeper, right? I usually do a little meditation, close my eyes and drop deep, open my senses, close my eyes so that my hearing and my smell and the breezes I can feel on my skin. And often when I then open my eyes, the forest around me looks brand new and sparkly. That's often when I'll see, oh my God, I've got to paint that. Just an arrangement of leaves or the sunlight coming through, or it happens as well when I'm walking. Sometimes I'll just glance over and think, oh my God, that's so gorgeous. And that's the feeling. It's the feeling of, I'm just bowled over in awe and wonder at the beauty, right? And that's when I will think, oh my, that's got to be painted. It's a feeling of being overwhelmed, you know, filled up to overflowing, and I've got to get it down and out of me onto canvas or down in words on the paper and to share it. It's funny, I was walking in the forest for about 10 years before I started painting it and writing about it. But I realized, it was years and years later that I realized that since the beginning, as I would walk through the forest, I was imagining sharing it. In my mind, I was telling people about it, you know, all along. I've been telling people about it without, so I started actually doing that.
Yeah. Well, in addition to painting, you're also a writer, and Sylvan Reflections is your writings as well as your paintings. And that's
Yes.
not everybody who can paint can write, right? And a lot of writers can't paint. So I think
I didn't know I could write. I knew I could paint.
Yeah.
But then it was realizing that I had things to say, that I had words to share the love and the wonder that I feel too. So I thought, well, okay, these paintings are going to go into a book, and so it's called Sylvan Reflections: Wanderings, Paintings, and Ponderings from the Forest. Sylvan, a lot of people don't know, Sylvan is a word that means of the forest. Mm-hmm. It's the root of silviculture. Tolkien in The Lord of the Rings, he uses the word Sylvan to describe the forests of Middle Earth too. I love the word, it's a beautiful word. So the book is Sylvan Reflections, and it's Wanderings, Paintings, and Ponderings. The wanderings are all sorts of little stories that I have to tell about things that happen in the forest. So they're encounters with wild animals, or the meeting of a tree, you know.
But you're going to read some of it for us, are
yeah,
you not?
some of it, yeah. And the paintings, well, those are the paintings that are in the book. I forgot to tell you, the paintings, they are fairly detailed and fairly realistic, but in every painting, there's what I call my otherworldly quality. Yeah. There's something in every single painting. They're all different, either a geometric shape or symbolism of some sort. And what I'm trying to do with this aspect of the paintings is to bring out the feeling, you know, the energy. There's when I see that image, it's a beautiful realistic image of the forest, but I sense something behind that. Something, there's a give and take of energy. And so I try my best through symbolism and geometric to bring that to the people that are going to be seeing my paintings somehow.
To me, it feels a little bit, it's like a little touch of magic. Some of them are almost like there's like a little magical sprite in it almost, or a little like they feel like the will o' the wisp, or that kind of thing that's just sort of like skittering through here or there. Or when you're going to see folks watching, you're going to see examples of these in just a couple of minutes, and Barbara can kind of tell us what we're seeing in there. But it is something that kind of separates these paintings from other nature artwork that you see and other people who paint trees, because Barbara paints, you paint the trees, but you paint something beyond that too, which is really kind of cool and fun. Well, did you pick out a few readings for us?
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Show us the book too. Hold it up. And of course, everybody, we will tell you where you can get this and where you can connect with Barbara. Okay, beautiful.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, this is the first book. I'm working on volume 2 now. All these paintings will be in volume 2.
Awesome.
With a new film coming out. Well, I'll tell you about that later. Right now,
so many projects. That's great.
This piece I call, What is Our Role? Well, and this is a pondering, right? So there's wanderings, paintings, and ponderings. This one is a pondering. I usually after sitting in stillness again, that's when I'll start waxing poetic about the human experience, right? And I have to write it down to share it. So this is one of those. What is our role? What is our role as humans on this planet in our relationship to the natural world? When I'm alone in the forest and something catches my eye with its beauty, pulls at my heartstrings with its poignancy, who am I in these moments? I'm the only source of appreciation for these fleeting offerings. And when such an offering may come, be it the graceful sweep of a tree bough or the beauty of the mysterious depths of the shadows from which they sweep, be it an intimate and infinitesimal world of mosses and lichens, or a play of colors, greens of leaves against reds and purples and browns of fallen needles, be it branches catching sunlight in a moment of glory, or the first tiny, delicate spring flower looking up at me so bravely. Be it an impossibly intricate frost crystal that formed over a cold winter night that will disappear with the first kiss of the morning sun, or be it the cool, gentle, blanketing embrace of freshly fallen snow. It seems to me as a gateway, an opening to the divine. The sight strikes me with awe and fills me with grace. And this feeling of honor comes with a deep sense of responsibility. It's my ability or my capacity to respond, my responsibility to the sublime beauty offered to me in these moments. It seems to be precisely the reason for the offering. What I'm feeling is the perfection of the harmonious resonance between me and the beauty of nature. There's no other creature created that can appreciate beauty the way that we can. And the idea of this fills my heart to bursting and brings tears to my eyes. The blessings overwhelm me. Who am I to be the witness and the keeper of such? I'm profoundly humbled daily. Were we as humans designed to appreciate nature's beauty, or was all this splendor designed to resonate with us? We are one with it.
Oh my goodness, that is wonderful. It really does capture that feeling of almost being chosen, right? I feel when I'm walking, I'll see maybe a bluebird or something that is just, and it's almost like, did anybody else see that? Like,
I know.
I'm the only one who saw that little magical thing happen, or whatever it is that you really have a sense of. You're right that the divine has chosen me in this moment to experience this. And I want to say too, and I really feel like you would agree with me on this, that you and I both live in forests. We're fortunate. Mine's not as remote as your forest, but I have a suburban forest, and you're in a more remote forest. But I feel like as humans, we can have these experiences pretty much wherever we are if we're tuned in. You know, when you're outside, I walk in a suburban neighborhood, but I resonate with what you're reading about there, that feeling of being like, oh, just taken aback by just a bird or a sight or a tree or something that happened, or something that my eye falls upon, or a beautiful snippet of bird song or something. And I'm overwhelmed. And I can do that even just here in my neighborhood. And folks you can see it in the sky. You can see it. Yeah. So
that's what I was just going to say.
I'm very much aware that not everyone has the ability to be able to walk in a forest on a regular basis. And when you can, that's great. When you can't, you can read a book like Sylvan Reflections, right? And look at some of these paintings.
Yes.
What do you hope people take away from that? That brings me to that question. What do you want your paintings to do for people and your writings?
Yes, that's a huge part of why I do this. Yes, as you say, everyone isn't in the wild, everyone doesn't have a forest out their front door, but everyone has the sky. You can always look up into the sky and feel that. And you know, you can feel it in a dandelion growing in the crack in a sidewalk, right? It's there. It's always there somewhere. You can look at the wood that your dresser is made, you know, that your table is made out of, and think back to that wood as a tree. You know, we ourselves are nature too. We can just look within. But there was something else I wanted to say. Oh yes, you speak of so eloquently of all the research that's being done, right, to prove how beneficial nature, the connection with nature is to us.
Yes.
And studies are even being done that are showing that looking at a picture and going there in your imagination, you can get some of the same benefits.
Yeah.
So as an artist, I mean, that just blows me away. It's just the coolest thing that my paintings can bring that to people. Yeah, it's just too exciting. And so actually my books and the film, I create them especially with people in mind who can't get out into the forest every day. Especially, I would love to get it into the hands of people who are bedridden, or people who are in the hospital who can't get out, or people in the big cities even, right, who can't get out. They can go there vicariously and feel some of that. I'm always trying to share the beauty and the wonder that I
Well,
feel.
maybe someone will see this. Maybe someone will see this interview and be inspired to help figure out how that book can get into more hands for its healing benefits. Do you have another? You want to read another quick passage for us,
Sure.
and then we're going to look at
Yep,
some of
I've got another quick one here.
Yeah, great.
The veil between the worlds is thin. It's November 2nd. All Hallows Eve just passed. The veil between the worlds is thin. I've stopped to write this while walking through the forest on the mountainside. The sun is shining, burning off the morning mists after 2 days of rain. Silvery shimmers all around. It's a shiny, clean, sparkly world. The autumn colors are so intense they take my breath away. The larch trees are radiating such goldenness against the rich, dark evergreens. It's a wonder such a color can exist without bursting into flames. The depth of the browns of the fallen leaves against the impossible variety of greens and shapes and textures of the mosses staggers my mind. The smells are deeply nourishing to me. The sun kissing the wet, cold earth brings forth a primeval scent that smells somehow of the infinite potentials of life. The profound stillness of the forest and the mountains feeds my soul. It nourishes body, mind, and spirit. All the sounds that are contained within this stillness don't seem to disturb it. How can that be? The creek burbling, the leaves rustling, a frog croaks, a squirrel chatters, a raven calls, and a nuthatch cheeps. The profound stillness remains. It's the trees and the rocks, the earth and the clean, wild air. And here I am, a part of it, breathing it in and out, appreciating it, loving it, so thankful that my gratitude feels barely bearable. In order to take in the forest or any natural environment, be it forest or ocean or prairie, desert or ice field or garden, in order to even begin to take it in, we have to give over to the inconceivable, miraculous beauty of it. And in doing so, we open wide, so wide that we expand into it and become one with it and are healed. All is well.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. So we have another edition of this book to look forward to, yes? And
Yes.
new paintings, new writings, new ponderings and wanderings, I assume?
That's right.
Yeah. So can I show a couple of these paintings and let you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here?
Sure. Yeah.
Let me see if I can do this. And it's not full screen yet, right?
Yeah, that one I call Through. And I've actually written a little poem of this one.
Oh, yeah?
But what I want, well, I'll read the little poem first.
Okay.
Through, into the dream, with a swish and a swirl, swim yourself through. On a wish and a whirl, wind your way into. The green beyond beckons, calling you home.
I love it. How fun.
Thanks.
Here's the swish. And you really feel the movement in that too. You feel like there's something kind of swooshing through the trees there.
I'm always trying to get at depth. I'm always trying to draw you in deeper and deeper into the depths of the forest. So that swirl, and that one, it's the, of course, it's the swirl that takes you in.
And this one is that circle almost looks like it's made out of stone to me.
Yeah, it's a stone circle. This painting is called a Stone Portal to Beyond. And this one came about after sitting in silence with my eyes closed, opening them and being transported through this portal, through the depths of I was sitting in darkness in the deep shadows in the forest. And I looked up to this opening a portal to sunshine through the forest with that lovely young maple catching the sunlight. And I thought, okay, how can I convey that feeling? And I thought a stone circle. Stone circles, of course, up since the beginning of time have been thresholds to the divine, portals, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm gonna see how a stone portal suspended in midair.
And it's just hanging there. It's so, yeah. So magical. I love it. All right, let's see. See what our next. There we go.
This one is called a grand sweeping spiraling. And again, this one was after I opened my eyes, after sitting in silence and a meditation. I looked up and I saw this. It's a grand fir tree. And she's spiraling through her life. This grand sweeping spiral brought you in and around. It speaks to me of tree time, right? The trees do these amazing dances, but it takes them hundreds of years to do their dance, right? It's tree time.
Right. And this one, I love.
This one is called what is this one called? Fur, soft and thick. This one is a more intimate. You want to nuzzle into that fur, get right up close and nuzzle in.
I love the way evergreens smell, and that makes me want to just put my face in it and sort of crush some of the needles a little bit and get that smell in my nose.
Perfect. Yes, perfect. That's exactly what I want you to do with this painting.
Looking at it, yeah.
And there's an oval in the background. That's the otherworldly geometric shape in this one. The oval use it. I often use it. It speaks to me of feminine, nurturing, welcoming, geometric shape.
Mhm. It's very subtle, though. I would not have probably seen it had you not pointed it out.
Yeah, a lot of them in my paintings are quite subtle, and I love that about them. I want you to look at that painting for a while before that bit of magic pops out at you.
Here we go. Speaking of magic, popping out at you.
This one, yeah, what a heavy, beautiful, heavy snowfall had just happened. Winter is my favorite time of the year. I'm out there on snowshoes, and I could go forever in the winter just following portal after portal under the trees through the snow. But this one, this young hemlock, she's very young, and draped in this gorgeous, I walked by her after I think it was the first snowfall of that year, the first heavy snowfall. And what popped into my mind when I looked at her was Dance of the Seven Veils.
Ah, yes.
So I thought, okay, how on
Like
earth can I paint that?
From the Nutcracker. From the Nutcracker? Is that right?
Well, Dance of the Seven Veils is an ancient, thousands of years old. It was in the Bible with Salome and John the Baptist, but it even goes before that. It's the, and I had to really research into it to find, why did Dance of the Seven Veils pop into my mind? But it's the shedding of the illusions of the ego, the seven veils of illusion. So I created this dancer, sort of mirroring or echoing the hemlock draped in the veils, to try to bring that idea.
Yeah. Do we have one more? Oh, yes, we do. Good.
This one probably has the smallest, the subtlest of those otherworldly. There's just, you can barely see it. This is an explosion of cottonwood against the dark evergreens. The cottonwoods, they just dance, they dance in the wind, and they seem to explode out saying, look at me, aren't I pretty and happy? So that's what that one's about.
I love it, because the underside of the leaves is kind of shimmery. It's almost silvery. The tops of them are, for those of you who don't have them in your area, and I don't in this area, but I used to live in the Midwest, and we did have cottonwoods there, and they're sort of yellow in the fall on the top side of the leaf, but silvery on the bottom side. So when the wind blows, they're like aspens. They shimmer and they flutter. Yeah, I think that's the last.
That's right.
The last one, isn't it? Oh, nope, got another one.
Oh, this one is called Cedar Intimacy. And again, kind of like those fir needles up close. This one, I wanted you to be able to travel again, right? We're up close and intimate with this beautiful cedar, but we can travel through the darkness into that light way beyond. And again, I use the oval to welcome you into this.
It really does draw you in.
Great.
Well, thank you for sharing those. That's wonderful. And you have, so those are all in the next book. And I should ask you, when is that coming out? What's the expected publishing?
I'm planning it coming out in a year, in the fall of 2022. Book and film as well together.
So, but Sylvan Reflections, the first one, is available now. That's what you were reading from. And let's let people know, we're going to put some links to Barbara's website on this page, so you'll be able to connect and find this stuff. But just real briefly, you sell that on your Etsy?
That's right.
Yeah. That's the best place to find the book if you like the book. And the paintings at Fine Art America. Her work is around and available.
You can get that at all through my website.
Yeah. But you also have some beautiful, some gifts for us, some generous gifts.
Yes.
To those of you who registered for this symposium. So tell us about that, a couple different things.
Yes, yeah. I've put together a whole package that's just for this Rise Up Rooted Symposium. I'm delighted to share it with you. I've got, first of all, so there are three things. First of all, four of the paintings that are in the first book. I've made high quality PDFs of them that you can download and print off, have them printed off yourself on your own printer or at a fancy printers. You can have them to do. Oh, I didn't. Your sound has gone.
Oh, that's because I muted myself.
Oh.
I would know how to work this by now. I was saying you could take them and use them digitally too. You could put it as a screen background, on the computer background, on a wallpaper or something like that too.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're PDFs for you to use as however you'd like to. So that's the first four paintings, one for each season.
Lovely.
And then I'm offering to you the film that went with the first book. It's a 21-minute long. These are professional films. We have an amazingly talented filmmaker right here in our valley, and he's made these films for me. It takes you through the seasons of a year. It's a very meditative, that drop dead gorgeous forest footage, and you come along on a walk with me and through the seasons of a year.
That's wonderful. And I've seen it, and it's definitely worth getting and watching and rewatching. It's, speaking of being healing, it is like taking a walk with Barbara in her beautiful BC forest. Mm-hmm. And there's something else in that package.
Yep. The third thing is a guided meditation. In that first book, there's a double page spread of a guided meditation, and I've made a little I've made a little video of that where I guide you through with my voice, and with the 16 paintings that are in the book are a slideshow behind you, and my creek burbles away in the background. So that's 9 minutes long, a guided meditation.
And your voice is so soothing, Barbara. It's your paintings and your voice and your writings. I just think that's a wonderful and so generous of you to offer. Thank you so much. I encourage everybody to click the link on this page and go over to Barbara's website, check out her work, and definitely grab those free gifts for yourself. So thank you so much, Barbara, for being here and for sharing your work and sharing your writings and for all you are doing for all of us and for planet Earth as well. Oh, real quick, we're running out of time here, but I need to ask you about Tree Sisters real quick. I know that organization is so important to you. So just tell folks what that is.
Tree Sisters is so important to me. It's you know what it is, Alex. It just feels so good. It just feels good to be a part of it, to give as much as I can. Tree Sisters is fostering social change and the culture shift that's needed from a consumer society to a restorer society. They do it so brilliantly. It's intelligent and inspiring, and they're planting trees. Every dollar that you give them plants trees, and it just feels so good.
Yeah, I agree. And I donate a portion of my proceeds to Tree Sisters as well. A lot of us doing this.
Lovely.
Support that organization because they do such beautiful work, as do you. And thank you so much for being with us, and have a wonderful autumn and good luck working on the next book. We'll look forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.